The Maribel was a two-masted schooner registered in Port Royal under the name of a shipping company that didn't exist a year earlier. She sailed in spring of 1797, supposedly bound for Bridgetown, with a crew of 27 and a sealed manifest. She offloaded nothing. She arrived in no port. And when she was finally seen again, nearly a year later, she had no name left on her hull, and no one aboard who could speak. She was a ghost, but not the kind you think. The Maribel was captained by Vincent Roach, a former privateer who had switched sides 3 times during the war and was wanted in 3 colonies for smuggling, gun-running, and mutiny. But by 1797, he sailed under no flag and answered to no crown. What mattered was cargo, and the fewer questions asked, the better. That spring, he accepted a sealed commission from a French agent in Saint-Domingue, paid in gold, before the cargo was even loaded. Witnesses said the crates were heavy, iron-banded, marked with a strange black cross. No one was allowed near them but Roach and 2 of his men, former soldiers who rarely spoke and always carried pistols. The crates were placed in the hold, and the hatch was chained shut from the outside. They left at night, no lanterns lit. The first strange report came from a merchant ship, the Eleanor Bright, which passed the Maribel near Turks and Caicos. Her captain noted that the schooner did not respond to hails, did not signal at night, and did not seem to be steering a straight course. Her sails were trimmed wrong for the wind, and strangest of all, the man at the helm was motionless for over an hour, staring dead ahead. They assumed it was an abandoned vessel until it turned slightly to port, as if correcting course. Weeks passed, then months. The Maribel never reached Bridgetown, but fragments of her journey began to surface. A fishing boat found a lifeboat adrift near St. Lucia, with 2 oars and a pistol still inside, unfired. In Tortola, a former Maribel crewman named Haskins was arrested for drunken violence. He babbled about the hold being cursed and how the captain should have burned it before they left port. He died in jail that night. Internal bleeding. No wounds. Then silence for 8 more months, until March 1798. The Maribel drifted into the port of Paramaribo at dawn, under full sail, but without a crew on deck. Dock workers were startled. No ship had been logged, and her rigging was tattered. When customs officials boarded her, they found signs of recent life. Dishes in the galley, a kettle still warm, but no crew. Below deck, the hold was sealed with rusted chains, the lock broken from the inside. The crates were gone. What remained was a journal, not from Roach, but from a midshipman named Ellis Merle. His last entry read, "Captain says we don't unload. We never were meant to. This was a route, not a delivery. He won't say where he got the map. He won't say why we change course every night. But I've seen the charts. We're circling something. And now the cargo sings." Authorities tried to impound the ship, but 3 nights later, it vanished from the harbor without warning. No one saw her leave. No one filed departure papers, but the dock workers swear they heard chains dragging on the stones before sunrise. The Maribel has not been seen since. But in 1803, a whaler passing near Antigua claimed to see a schooner adrift. No sails, no flag. And just for a moment, a man at the helm, unmoving, staring forward. Some say the ship was part of a trafficking route gone wrong. Others believe Roach had entered into something darker, a pact, a payment for silence. But one thing is certain. Whatever was in the hold was never meant to arrive, and someone still wants it carried. The official investigation into Maribel's final appearance in Paramaribo was brief and mostly off the record. Dutch colonial authorities were less concerned with ghosts and more with smuggling. But even they couldn't ignore the facts. No crew, no damage, no signs of violence, just an empty ship and a broken chain leading to an empty hold. The midshipman's journal vanished from the archive a year later. But the rumors didn't. Port sailors started speaking of other sightings. In Bridgetown, an English trader said he passed Maribel at anchor near an unmarked quay. At night, no lanterns and no crew visible. He sent a dinghy to approach. As they neared, the current grew strange, pushing them away, as if the sea itself rejected their presence. And the closer they got, the colder the air became. Tropical waters, but freezing mist clung to the hull. They turned back. Later that year, in Kingston, a man named Jacob Fletch, former gunner on Maribel, presumed dead, reappeared. Skin burned from sun and salt. No memory of how he arrived. Carried only a worn strip of canvas, tightly bound with cord. He refused to speak. Wouldn't touch rum. He just sat in the shade and stared at the harbor. Locals said, when he finally opened the canvas, it held a crude, hand-drawn map. Circles drawn again and again around one blank point in the open sea. He tore it to pieces the same day. That night he hanged himself in the tavern cellar. One final report came in 1805, from a French cutter off Dominica. The captain swore they saw a schooner drifting, barely afloat. Her hull bore the marks of Maribel, but the name was gone. As they passed, they saw something in the hold, the hatch wide open. Not crates, not men, just chains, loosely coiled, still wet. Conclusion: theories still circulate in maritime circles, that Maribel had been commissioned not to deliver cargo, but to carry it somewhere unreachable, that the crates weren't meant to be opened or even understood, that they were never intended for any port, and most chilling of all, that they were only ever a weight, ballast, just heavy enough to pull a ship off course until she drifted in the right place. A ship doesn't need a crew to sail in circles. Only a reason. Only a purpose. Maribel was last seen in 1811 through fog off St. Vincent. The sea was dead calm. The anchor was dragging. And the man at the helm was still staring forward,